The uniquely Colombian music street culture known as Pico is in danger of disappearing amid fears it's leading a youth subversion. Since the 1930s, across the poorer districts of Colombia's Caribbean coast, flamboyantly customised sound systems known as Pico have been providing the music for vibrant street parties known as verbenas. But recently, some Colombian politicians are saying its influence is a vice and a culture that promotes drugs, brawls and even youth pregnancy. With growing concerns that the culture could be banned and disappear completely, a number of Colombians are hoping to safeguard it for future generations by spreading the movement internationally, and they have their eye on Melbourne as a potential safe haven.
Barranquilla was the pioneer city of radio in Colombia, having the first Colombian radio station called La Voz de Barranquilla.
En Barranquilla, La Voz de Barranquilla, 760 kHz.
El Pico culture was originally born out of necessity. During the 1930s, the cost of owning a transmitting device was out of reach for most, and those who could afford it would play them on loudspeakers. And so, an unspoken competition for the loudest speaker quickly developed into one that was decorated and broadcast across all corners of the city. Combined with their psychedelic paintwork, Pico and verbena culture became synonymous with the small coastal city of Barranquilla.
In Barranquilla, we live and breathe Pico. There is no person that hasn't been linked with Pico at some point in their life. I think that eradicating Pico is like ending Carnival. Unfortunately, the Pico has been demonized as a generator of violence.
The dancers are a little bit more dangerous than before. For many in Barranquilla, the government's move to ban Pico is seen as an attack on the poor.
The verbena are made by the poor, for the poor, not the rich. The rich have their hotels, they have their grills, and the poor cannot have fun right now.
While government officials suggest it's a measure to maintain peace and order during a violent time in the nation's history. In January this year, days before Carnival, a leftist group claimed responsibility for the bombings of a police station in Barranquilla that killed 7 police officers and injured at least 40 others. So, what's the future for Pico?
Well, I guess we have to wait. We can't predict what will happen, but they've already been suppressed. It's not known if the government will change their current system, but the current policing and laws have ended Pico.
My name is Oscar Jimenez. I'm an artist and music producer from Colombia, based here in Melbourne.
Oscar is a part of South to South, a group that are trying to change the cultural narrative of Colombia abroad.
People from overseas are really admire about the Pico culture, and I think that Colombians or the Colombian government should be more aware of this.
And launching the first Pico made outside of Colombia is part of that.
This unique culture that we have and should be, spread. And I think that's what's going to happen if international support comes on board. We want Australians to get to know what Colombian culture is about and not just get stuck with the stereotype.
Transporting a culture and keeping it intact is a complicated task. Whilst Oscar doesn't expect an exact replica of the neighbourhood streets in Barranquilla, he does believe the core values won't change, and most importantly, will keep it from disappearing.
Desde abajo sueño y arriba me pierdo y yo busco el centro por